Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
Bum 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 bum.
Make him the cutest that I've ever seen.
Bum 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 bum.
Give him two lips like roses and clover.
Bum bum bum.
Then tell him that his lonesome nights are over.
Welcome to the Murder Zone, and today we're talking about a sadistic killer, probably one of the worst ones featured on here, because the person's spree lasted over 12 years. We're talking about the B.T.K Killer. The B.T.K standing for bind, torture, and kill. The person's name is Dennis Rader, and what is so interesting about Dennis is while killing, he led a perfectly normal life. He had a good job, a family, and everything else that would make you think he was normal, but secretly he wasn't. His first victims were a family, a father, a mother, and their two kids. Rader later said that it was a sexual release for him, which would later be proven as semen was found at the crime scene. A couple months later, he killed again. This time it was a woman, by stabbing and strangling her. He took an extended break from killing, which is not very known with killers. Usually they kill and they keep killing until they're caught. His break lasted 7 years. While the 7-year break was happening, he would taunt police, sending them poems. 7 years was too long because he lost it and killed his neighbor next door and left her on the side of the highway. His spree would go on close to 20 years until 2005, where one of his taunts went wrong. They got DNA from it and was able to connect it to one of his family members, and they had a case to him which would later lead to his arrest and him later found guilty of committing 10 counts of murder.
Person you become stalking, and that might be several of them, but you really hone in on that person. You know, they basically become that's the victim.
When Dennis Rader speaks, he doesn't sound like a monster. That is what is so chilling. To him, murder is just a job.
I had many, what I call them projects. There were different people in the town that I followed, watched.
One of his projects was a woman named Shirley Vian, murdered on March 17th, 1977.
We got her a glass of water, comforted her a little bit, and then went ahead and tied her up, and then put a bag over her head and strangled her.
Another project, Marine Hedge, April 27th, 1985.
She was already dead, so I took pictures of her in different forms of bondage.
And so it went, project after project, victim after victim, 10 altogether over 30 years. Only recently has the full scope of Dennis Rader's rampage of death come into focus.
Please rise.
On June 27, 2005, Rader stood in the courtroom of Judge Gregory Waller and confessed.
What did you do then?
Strangled her.
He is the notorious B.T.K serial killer who terrorized Wichita, Kansas for 3 decades.
You were engaged in some kind of fantasy during this period of time?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, when you use the term fantasy, is this something you were doing for your personal pleasure?
Sexual fantasy, sir.
I see.
Friends and neighbors were stunned. This was not the Dennis Rader they knew. He was happily married for over 30 years. 2 grown children. A church leader. Active in Boy Scouts. Worked in suburban Wichita, enforcing rules about things like unleashed pets and how high your grass could grow.
We've been tracking it down. The dogs.
He even talked about it in a local TV interview in 2001. But there is another Dennis Rader, hidden behind that calm facade.
Inside he was BTK, and Dennis Rader was the mask of sanity he wore. He probably thought the rest of us were fools for not recognizing him for the monster he was.
Rader has begun to reveal more. After his court testimony, he made a phone call from jail to reporter Larry Hatteberg of Wichita station KAKE. Hatteberg has covered the BTK story from the beginning.
I said, but you were so cold inside the courtroom when you were recounting these murders, so very cold, and that stunned everybody. He said, well, I was just trying to get it out.
Hatteberg taped the call. The sound quality is poor, but the implications clear.
The only thing I can figure out is personalized, somewhere in my body I can do those sort of things and go back to normal life, which is unbelievable.
He killed to gratify himself. He had no personal animosity towards any of the people that he killed. These were simply events, or what he called projects, that he was able to relieve himself sexually and to gratify himself.
His first killings offer some clues and set the tone for his terror to come. It began on January 15th, 1974. Dennis Rader killed his first 4 victims: Joseph Otero, his wife Julie, their 11-year-old daughter Josephine, and 9-year-old son Joseph Jr. His method? Strangulation.
I had never strangled anyone before, so I really didn't know how much pressure you had to put on a person or how long it would take.
Rader strangled his victims primarily because he wanted to have complete control over their course of death. To someone like Rader, to be able to control life and death itself is what is stimulating.
Thanks for watching. See you soon.